It's time for the College of Ice with Brian Brosdahl and Steve Panaz.
Hey guys, welcome to College of Ice, the second week of J-Term. We really appreciate you guys coming on board. We've got a good show tonight. We've got Thomas Allen with In-Fisherman coming on board. Very excited about it. Look at all these guys coming in already with comments. That's awesome. We've got Brad Novak from OmniaFishing.com as well, which is really cool. And we've got a surprise guest tonight in the Minnesota Vikings center, Brett Jones. And yes, he's an avid ice fisherman. That's him, number 61. He's got a very unique story about how he got to the NFL. And what's exciting, too, is he loves to ice fish. So we're going to get a chance to talk to that. Hey, before I bring Bro on, I want to talk to you a little bit about Lake Commandos, the television show Lake Commandos. It's airing on the Outdoor Channel every 4 times a week right now. Bro's been on it. Thomas Allen's been on it, and it's a fun show. It's really about pattern building, but prime time airing Sunday mornings, 10:30 Eastern on Outdoor Channel, so please check it out. Hey, speaking of the Outdoor Channel, I'd also like to welcome everybody from the Outdoor Channel. We're airing live on Outdoor Channel's Facebook page tonight, and I think that's really cool, so thanks for the opportunity. And welcome to the show. Please comment. There's a chance to win some prizes tonight, so join us and comment and have some fun tonight. We're really looking forward to it. Hey, let's bring Bro on, Kai. I'd love to catch up with Bro, man. How you been?
Hey, good. And I want to say happy birthday, Steve. Everything's been great around here.
Well, hey, thanks a lot. I had my birthday yesterday, and you've got one coming up too. I know you're an Aquarius, right?
Yeah, I'm Aquarius, so I already had it, but
yeah, Capricorns rock, baby.
Hey, it's the dawn of Aquarius, right?
Yeah. So, hey, have you had a chance to get out on the ice lately?
Oh, yeah. Ever since I seen you last, and it's actually ice fishing's been strange because we have a stalled pressure system, and it's been foggy and it's been windy, and or actually I would say not windy. It's been foggy and just strange, and nothing's moving. But I noticed now with this weather coming in, the fish went nuts today, and so I think we're going to see a really good bite coming up.
Is that right? Hey, I did a little ice fishing myself this week. You'll probably notice that my background's a little different than the first 12 episodes of College of Ice, but the ice fish that I did today was in my cup. I had 6 or 7 cubes in here, but I had a chance to spend some time on saltwater, actually fishing Charlotte Harbor area near Fort Myers this week, and we really had a great time getting out there. And we caught a ton of sea trout the other day. We had some grouper, we saw some mangrove snappers, no redfish, no sook. Water temp was only 60.5 degrees, which is kind of brutal, but that's what was happening tonight.
How much ice did you have there?
Like I said, I had 6 cubes in my my Frabill mug, but that was enough because we had a boat underneath us, which is really cool. Hey, we need to congratulate Chris Weichert of Fargo, North Dakota, for winning last week's Frabill Ice Pack.
Right.
This College of College of Ice mug for Mammoth Coolers. So that's pretty cool. So, Bro, how can people win again this year?
Like and share the show, and comment. Let us know how the ice is in your area, and you're in to win.
That's really cool. And what's cool too is that we want to start sharing some ice conditions. You know, I had an email from an old friend today, Don Charging, whose family has owned a resort up on North Dakota's Sakakawea Lake, and she was saying that normally this time of year they're adding the extensions to their augers, and she said the lake's not even frozen over right now, which I find it absolutely stunning to hear that.
Yeah, that's strange, and it's a weird year. I'm telling you. Normally we would have twice the ice we got, and so you got to check. We have a lot of 10 to 14 inches of ice in northern Minnesota, but there's still lakes when you get between where I'm at and Brainerd that are 6 to 9 inches of ice. And we did have a car go through near Bemidji, by the river. So be real careful, be aware of what you got going on before you go.
Hey, bro, I just got a text from Thomas Allen. He's having a little trouble with the link. So I want to turn things over to you for just a minute. I'm going to follow up with Thomas and make sure he's got the current link. But one of the questions I wanted to ask you about was deep water fishing. How deep is too deep to be fishing? And how do you release fish and stuff like that? So you take it on for a minute and I'll be right back.
Well, and what I see in deep water, most of the time, as I've in photo shoots, I've had to capture fish and keep them alive. Now, it's one thing to catch a fish and then let it go or whatever, but I've had to keep them alive sometimes for the day or the next day. So, that involves having a healthy fish. And so fizzing and weights and stabilizing the water is one thing, but I got to tell you that it seemed like 23 feet, anything more, and a lot of the that's a good one. A lot of the crappies, bluegills, and perch, they're that's kind of their limit. And if you go over 30 feet, 40 feet, there's a lot of death. And I've had to keep fish in the 30s alive. And out of, let's say, 10 crappies, you're going to have 4, and they might make it a few days. But for the most part, deep fish suffer barotrauma. And so I just want to tell people, if you're going to drop a house on a school of crappies and they're in 30, 40 feet of water, I wouldn't drop the house. If you got a wheelhouse and you're not using a portable, just leave it up and drop sleeves. Pick up sleeves for your house. And then as soon as you get the amount of fish you want, you got to leave. Don't leave it there and don't sort fish. That's the whole thing we're talking about in deep water. But every lake is different. And I've noticed on some bodies of water, the fish are a little bit stronger, but for the most part, for walleyes, anything over 30 is pretty bad. And there I've had a story. One of my friends pre-fishing for a walleye tournament caught a 26-inch walleye in over 60 feet of water, and it had a red blotch on its side. And he released it immediately and caught the fish the next day in a tournament, believe it or not. So the whole thing is get them down good. Don't squeeze them because, you'll blow the air bladder. But some fish, it's not even just about getting the bends or having their air bladder coming out or their eyes. Sometimes their arteries will burst in their throat. So just remember, if you're going to go deep, you're going to have to kill them. And that's just what I'm saying. So anything over 24, and sometimes bluegills will get it even in less depth. So barotrauma is a big deal. And I think 10 times more fish get wasted or killed in a winter's time by people. That's unnecessary. So, but for the most part, anything, I've caught walleyes up to 104 feet. And most of the time in deep, when you have to go, you're in a tournament or you just can't find any fish. If you have to, if it's not a slot lake, I've caught fish in 80, 90 feet of water, but they were, perfect 15 to 17-inch fish. If you're on a slot lake, you just can't do it because if you catch the wrong fish, you're gonna end up killing it. So for the most part, barotrauma is not just about the fish getting buggy and not being able to go down. So point them down in the hole and let them go. And if you really want to really save the fish, bring a jig and tie a line on the top of the jig right here and flatten the barb and hang a sinker here. And if you're up at Lake of the Woods and you got sauger or walleyes that won't go back, let it go down.
Bring me back in.
And, so drop it down and then pull, and you're bringing the fish into the area that they need to survive to acclimate. So you don't have to kill a fish unnecessarily.
Hey, welcome back to myself. Thomas is having a little bit of challenge with the link. I'm not sure what's going on, but I hope he can get that figured out because I want him to be back on board. Hey, before we bring our first guest in too, bro, I did want to talk to you a little bit about auger size. Common sizes are 4, 5, 6, 8, 10. When do you go to 4? When do you go to, other sizes? Take me through that progression in the size of the auger.
Well, I'm using Razor augers, and Razor has all different sizes, 4, 5, 6, 7, or actually I don't have a 7. I have 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10. And I like to look with a smaller auger, like a 4 or 5 inch. A 6 would work, but sometimes I'm going for a mile and I'm drilling off my sled. I'm holding the drill and I'm just drilling, and then I keep going. And I'll run a string down a flat. When it's flat, you got to search a lot of it, and then I'll fish my way back the hole. So I drill and then come back, dropping a camera, checking to see if fish are there. And then when I'm going to fish at a spot or guide at a spot, 8-inch hole. And if I have a hard house, I need a 10, because when you reopen it, it's just easier.
Yeah, it's not narrowing down.
Not because it concaves, when it gets cold. So
Yeah.
that's basically the lowdown. But at Razor, they got all of them. And you could drill so easy like this, an awkward position, without having to get off your sled.
I like 10-inch holes too, especially if I'm in a more of a permanent situation, because I love sight fishing. I love watching down the hole. And there's times, and I'm looking forward to talking to Brett Jones about this, but you get these giant pike or these big lake trout on, and you want to be able to get those fish up the hole. So I think that's one of those things that is sort of key. Hey, I want to move. We're going to have to change up the schedule a little bit. Thomas is having some challenges. So I'd really like to bring Brad Novak in from Omnia Fishing right now. Brad, I think it's a really unique situation where, hey, good to see you, man. How are you?
How are you guys? Good.
Good.
Off the hat, man.
Yeah. So our guest, this Brad right here, had a good cushy job at a big corporation in downtown Chicago, and then a weird thing happened. He entered a contest through GoPro, and he won a bass boat. What kind of boat was it, and how did that change your life there, young man?
You almost can't. I mean, it seems like a made-up story, but it really did happen. I filmed maybe a 4-minute video of me catching a smallmouth bass on the Chicago River, and won me a brand new Nitro Z21, and lived in downtown Chicago. Didn't have a vehicle. The first vehicle I ever owned was a boat. So I obviously needed to go out and get a truck. And I decided from that point on, I said, you know what, I'm keeping the boat, I'm buying the truck, and I'm gonna start working in the fishing industry. I was working in finance at the time, and now I'm here, Omnia Fishing. I've got literally thousands of fishing products behind me. It's an absolute dream job.
That's awesome. So are you missing Chicago at all?
No, not at all. I'm going to tell you, the fishing is a lot better here in Minnesota. So I am absolutely loving every minute of it.
Hey,
so
Sam.
we got Minnesota Viking Brett Jones in the queue. I just want to make sure that you're not a Bears fan, or is that?
No,
really
I'm Vikings fan now. Yeah. No,
all right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, so Omnia Fishing is really unique in that it offers products on a species-specific and technique-specific method, and really by lake. How do you guys get that information?
So a lot of it is, it's general information. So seasonal information, what type of structures in the lake, what type of species in the lake. But we also rely on a bunch of fishermen like ourselves to go out and, just give little hints of what's working. So the way we do it is fishing reports. So on each specific lake, we cover the entire United States. Anybody can go on and submit fishing reports. And actually, one of our newer things is we actually just built out an ambassador program. So if somebody wants to get more involved, and actually, if purchases are made from a fishing report or a recommendation that you give, we will pay you in tackle credit. So credit will go right to you, and you can use all of that to buy tackle in the future.
Well, what I think is cool about it is if you're going to a new body of water, you're really going there blind. You guys use a lot of the same techniques that we do on Lake Commandos, where you look at the time of year and the species, but you also look at water clarity and the species, forage and the cover and that sort of thing. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
Harvey, I just saw the Go Pack Go. Ooh, Harvey, I'm sorry.
No pack, no. No pack, no.
No. That's funny. Hey, so we're in the middle of ice fishing season right now. How's your inventory holding up? I know it looks robust behind us, but I know you guys have had a big push on some of the ice gear.
Yeah, I have wished I've been able to get on the ice more, but people keep coming in. We keep needing to restock. Our inventory is pretty low, but we still have some deals going on. So maybe we would like to get into those.
What do you got going?
So right now we're doing combos. So last time I talked to you, maybe a couple months ago, we were doing the Ice Finesse combos. We still have some of those left. So those retail for $49.99. We are $26.99 right now. So we've got the straight line, we've got the spinning with the quick tip and the ultralight. So we've got some combos. You know, if you're looking for that dead stick rod or that second inventory, or if I don't like I have very small hands, very nimble, and I do not like retying when I'm on the ice. So I carry multiple rods so I don't have to retie. It's all there. Combos are for sale.
Like
Another
one kind of deal.
Yeah, pretty much. And it is, if you get two of them, you get free shipping. So we have a $50 minimum, you get free shipping. So if you get two combos, free shipping right to you, and we'll ship everything out tomorrow.
Looks like Jonathan is going to be buying a couple for you. What other specials do you have going on right now?
Yep. So we've got two other specials going on. One with the Pro Thermal Tip Up. So this is the Frabill Tip Up. Comes with the light. Those retail for $24.99, I believe, and we're selling those for $14.99.
Ooh!
Oh wow! What a great bargain on that.
Yep. And then one of our hottest items that we have 3 left. We have 3 left in stock, and that is the Bro Hub. So the insulated Bro Hub. Now is the time of year to get your insulated. We have here in Minnesota, we've got a cold front coming. You can definitely bet I will be in an insulated hub with my heater turned on high.
So
that's a Bro front coming.
Yeah, it's a Bro front coming, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So for $279, does that come come with Bro?
You'd have to ask him.
I'm cheap, but I'm not free.
That's awesome.
She said you could take me.
So Brad, if she did, so if people ordered tonight or tomorrow, I mean, with 3 left, I mean, when do you guys put these things in the mail?
They will be shipped tomorrow. So it'll go UPS ground. So if you're in the general ice belt in our region, Minnesota, Wisconsin, there's Wednesday. You might be getting it before the weekend.
That's awesome. So that's very cool. Well, Brad, hey, thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Appreciate you coming on board, and good to see you. I want to see you on the water again
hopefully
this year. So that should be fun. Just leave my coffees alone this year, all right?
Yeah, will do.
All
appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Take it easy.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us. Hey, bro, I've got some good news. Thomas Allen is in the house. He, for a guy who runs digital media for In-Fisherman, you'd think he'd be a little more tech savvy to be using a link, because everybody else got on with no issue. But
even I got on.
Hey, our next guest is a pretty cool dude. He worked for North American Fisherman for a number of years. He went down to Bassmaster, lived his dream job, hung out with all the bass pros and learned all their techniques. And then he decided he missed the upper Midwest, missed muskie fishing, missed ice fishing. And now he's taking a job with In-Fisherman and is living up in Brainerd, Minnesota. So let's welcome Thomas Allen to the College of Ice.
All right.
There he is. What was the issue, dude?
I don't know that I like getting dissed and not having a chance to respond. But
that was by design, dude.
So I've got the super cool mic. I got these cool headphones, and they just not working. So we're doing this on my phone. Does it sound okay?
Yeah, you actually look pretty good too.
Well, that's the first time I've heard that. You and my mom think so. I'm happy to be here,
man. It's been a while since we fished together.
It has been, and bro, I'm looking forward to making up for some lost time. I've been doing that on the ice this year. I promise you.
Awesome.
You've been out a lot, Thomas?
I've been out. Let's see this. We went a day and a half this last weekend, and then I had to work a few days last week. But I was on the ice 6 of 8 days around the first of the year till about now. What is it? This 13th. So yeah, it's been pretty busy. And Steve, happy birthday! And you forgot we share a birthday.
I did forget that. I didn't know that. Happy birthday to you.
Birthday to you too.
My problem is I think I've lapped you, so I'm hoping that's not actually the case. But
well, I just turned 40. I don't think that's the case.
No, it's not the case. Well, happy birthday, dude.
Thanks. Hey, it's just good to be here. Glad to be kicking. I'm upright. I'm happy. We're good.
So for a birthday cake, I had key lime pie last night, which is traditional. It was awesome. So it was really good.
Tropical.
I had a little splash of maple bourbon.
Oh.
Splash.
Hey, when you probably more than anybody have seen the power of electronics and its impact on fishing, especially in recent years. And the one thing that sticks out to me right now is Patrick Walters, decimating the field down at Lake Fork I guess it would be last winter or last fall.
Yeah.
So talk about how you're using electronics and how electronics have really changed ice fishing.
Boy, have they changed. When I started ice fishing, I had a Vexilar I borrowed from a friend of mine that he kept in an igloo cooler. And it was really old, but I kind of, I've always been fascinated by electronics and being able to use them to find fish, to position the boat. I've done a good job catching fish because I have good electronics, not because I'm any good at it. But the thing that I've found with these electronics, especially in the ice belt, is if you're effective at using them throughout the year, it becomes a major boon to being able to use them on the ice in the winter. And one of the key things that I've found has been critical, and bro, I bet you can echo this, is the use of Humminbird's AutoChart Live. And yes, a lot of the lakes that I love to fish, one of my favorite things, Steve, you and I know this about each other, I love to go to new lakes that are hard to get to and spend some time fishing there. And the fishing is generally off the hook, pardon the pun. But most of those lakes don't have a map. And you can get out there and fish the shoreline. You can visually see the weed edge. But to go ice fish those places, you need to have some type of understanding of where you're at. And that's where AutoChart Live with Humminbird has been handy for me. A lot of the lakes I can get my boat on, I make a map. I take that Zero Lines card, put it in my Helix units when I go ice fishing, and I literally have a homemade map that nobody else has. And that has been critical for me to catch fish this year. You said it, I've been gone. I've been in the South. If anybody ice fishes in Alabama, they're crazy. and they think that about us. I can tell you firsthand. But getting back into it this year, there was a little bit of a learning curve. I had to pack all my stuff the right way. And you know all that, it's just a process. But the thing that didn't change for me is I could go back to spots I had been fishing for the last 20 years with the map card, the right electronics, and it was game on. It's been a lot of fun so far. And I know that my friends in the South think I'm crazy, but there's something special about surviving the winter and drilling holes and putting crappies and bluegills on the ice. But bass, let me tell you something about a bass. If you can find standing cabbage, green cabbage, and I heard you guys talking last week with Gussie about using a flutter spoon or a jigging spoon of some sort. If you can find stands of cabbage with the electronics, the new Humminbird 360, I'm able to drop that in the hole and see 360 degrees around me. Almost always you can catch a bass just by identifying some weeds.
Absolutely.
So, bro, I know you're a fan of Humminbird as well. I'm a Garmin guy, so I don't really know much about your technology. But can you show me the 360 and what you're using?
Kai, put that up there. You can see it. It's here's 360. Basically, you got the transducer that goes in the hole, and it's got a module that shows you what directions north. You point it north, and then so it covers 360 degrees. It's like side imaging, but everywhere. So you see the bottom and fish, and I was able to tell. Nick Cox is there. Hold on one second. Go back to that one. Nick Cox was with me from Razor, and I was able to tell him, you got two fish coming in, and he got one. He was going over to. I drilled some holes around, and I said, "There's another one coming through," and he caught that one too. So it's unbelievable. It's amazing. You can watch the fish come in, and the neat thing about this is it shows fish that are laying on the bottom. And so if you go to the next clip here, you'll see, go ahead, right there. That's a shiner minnow in a split shot. That's how detailed this is. It's picking up a split shot in a shiner minnow, and I got it set out at 70 feet. And so you can watch the fish come in and take it, but it's like a radar. And then on the next couple here, we'll go to the next one here. There's a couple fish coming in from the side, and they're moving super fast. Depending on the speed that they're moving, you can see their fins and everything. And if you look towards the center, there's a school of bait fish. That's a cloud, and I didn't really zoom in on that. And my bait is on the bottom right there. So the fish, so I had to run 35 feet and go to another hole to catch these fish. And then the next one, here's a school of walleyes. Well, there was a next one, but anyway,
That's a bummer.
So,
It's
so
pretty cool.
I have a question for both you guys. Would you ever buy a sonar thing that you couldn't use in summer, and then secondly, without mapping?
Mapping's so critical. I mean,
It is critical.
I mean, I'm gonna age myself, but I'm gonna age you guys even worse. I started by triangulating. When I wanted to fish a spot, I would, line a few things up, and then when mapping came into play, it's like, wow, I can focus so much more on making the right cast. But I think the real power on the ice with modern technology is knowing you need to move. And I've had some conversations with Tim Price. He's like, Thomas, you got to trust it. And that's one of the things I struggled with early on this year was like, well, normally you just work the hole, be quiet, let the fish work through and you'd catch them. But with that 360, like bro's saying, it's so clear. There's so much detail. You can tell if there's anything near you and if you need to move. I keep mine at 55 feet, bro.
Yeah.
I'm fishing a lot shallower most of the time, but 70 feet, that's pretty smart. I like that setting for deeper water for sure.
And I like to set it fast because I want it to refresh really fast. And the problem I found with that is I would have a school of walleyes get through before I could get a photo. I want to get a photo and show you. It shows like every one of them. You can count them. But we're catching in two guide trips, just in the evening. We caught 172 walleyes to get our 24. If that tells you how many fish are flying through, lots of small fish up here everywhere. But you could see the small fish on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
That's the cool thing.
Something I've noticed though about the ice fishing technological age that I think is pretty neat is even with this cool new technology, which certainly is giving a leg up to the anglers that are embracing it and employing it into their tactics, you can still go back and use a flasher and be just as effective if you have the nose, if you will, for the lake you're fishing, the way the fish migrate during the ice period. So listen, the 360 is super cool. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely going to help people catch more fish. But if you've got the right understanding of the lake, the familiarity of the species that you're chasing, and understanding how the season changes as the ice year goes on, you're still able to catch a lot of fish. So I don't want to say you can't catch fish without this thing because it's not true. Yeah, but I think it's going to definitely add to those that are really good.
But
hey, bro, I want to make a point here. One of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of times the technology, especially with the side view, now I'm a huge fan of Panoptix, Garmin, the Live Scope, and both that. And I believe you both have had a chance to fish it. But what really, and it was a point made in one of the comments just a minute ago, that fish, you can find the fish and you can see the fish, but you don't always necessarily get them to bite.
Yeah.
And I think one of the unique things about this technology is you start understanding fish at a much higher level. With Panoptix, it's live. So I get to see how they're reacting. So I've seen them come up 10 feet and then blow back to the bottom. I'm seeing a lot of suspended walleyes. The bigger fish tend to suspend, and that's something I didn't realize up until a few years ago. And targeting those big fish, when you have the ability to see them and get up to them in advance of them getting to the hole so you can get there before you're not spooking them. And then just to learn how many fish are rejecting you, and then to tweak your presentations so you can start bringing more fish to the hole to have the opportunity to catch more fish. I do want to go back to one thing, Thomas, and that's the traditional down viewing sonar. We've got a graphic here that just shows you the bottom coverage of traditional sonar. Kai, why don't you bring up that? Yeah. So here we've got a 12-degree transducer on a traditional down viewing sonar, and I think we're in 12, maybe 14 feet of water here, but we're looking at 3 feet of the bottom. And why that's important is once you're looking at that, you're not seeing much. The fish is either going to swim by your bait because it's going to see it, or it's coming to the bait, but you're covering this much of the bottom. Whereas now, if we show what Panoptix is doing in the forward mode, and we've got this in, and it's live, so it doesn't cover 360 at one time. Where Humminbird is spinning to show this. This one you're moving, and you've got a very narrow 20-degree transducer cone angle, so you can figure out exactly where those fish are. So if I locate a school of crappies at 100 feet out, I know they're right here between here and in that red cabin or that white house or whatever. But Kai, bring up that video or that graphic of just kind of spinning and the coverage. This is a Panoptix in the down view, but compare this to the old version. Go back to the other one, Kai. So you can see how we're spinning it there. We got that 20 degrees. But if we're in a down position, not that one, but the one before. Nope. Yeah, that one. So if we're in about 30 feet of water, we're covering 30 feet of the bottom in a 7-foot slice. And what's cool about that is not only do you see a lot of fish and get to really understand them, but I like the fact that you're gathering information that you wouldn't, because you're seeing so much of the bottom and so much more of the fish.
You know, something, Steve, that I really have to say about the technology is it's helped me get back into the game after being gone for so long. The learning curve is a lot easier for me to make adjustments. And I told you from the beginning, I don't consider myself an ice expert. I'm a fanatic, that's for sure. I moved from Alabama back to Minnesota just so I could ice fish.
No, muskies too.
but to be able to recognize, one of the things I've noticed with the 360, the side imaging, the mega program that Humminbird has put together, you're able to see profiles of the fish. And so you're actually able to identify, in a lot of cases, panfish can be a little bit more difficult. But I spent some time on the river this year with Luke Swanson, and we were able to see muskies that we knew were muskies on the side imaging. The mega creates so much detail, and the same applies with the ice fishing scenario. You drop that in a hole, you're looking 70, 55 feet, whatever your preference is. You see where you need to be. But last week, you guys proved a point to me that I recognized what was going on, is just because you see fish out that far, if you go drill holes on them, that doesn't mean they're going to just come up and bite. Yeah. Especially with the clear ice we have this year. I've noticed the fish I get a lot of the fish coming up, sniffing and going back down thing. And I believe that's largely because we're burning those holes too fast. So the 360, maybe, like Bro said he did, you go make a Swiss cheese circle, you drop it in the center, and then you just move to where you're seeing the fish, and it's run and gun style. But it's shortened the learning curve for me to be back into Minnesota since I was out of the game for a while, and I think that's one of the biggest attributes to all of this.
And one thing, remember, everybody, you just drop it down. You don't have to touch it. It's hands-free, and it just does its thing. But and I got a little news. I talked to Tim, and he let me bring this up. So a Humminbird, it's not ready yet, and I can't go into too much, but Humminbird is going live. And so we're going to have live, and you'll be able to see it coming up this spring and maybe get it. It's going to be super popular. So there's a lot of stuff on the radar coming up. No pun intended. It's going to be, it's going to come live, and it's supposed to be better than anything that's out there.
You know what's interesting? Well, we'll see there, bro.
But hey, that Panoptix is cool. I've seen that work. It's awesome.
One of the things that has really blown me away, being able to see more, is we were set up on a flat on Mille Lacs a few years back, and you're covering so much water, and I noticed that every fish we saw was swimming from the north to the south. Number one. I want to show you, Thomas, I want to show you this footage that I captured on my home lake just the other day of a similar situation. Kai, run that video of the panfish. So this is on an AquaView the other day, but here's a massive school, and this doesn't show but a slice of the school. There were hundreds of sunfish and crappie, and they were all swimming in one direction at the same time. And you know what? I got 0 bites out of that school, but I've seen that more and more often. And bro, you've seen that as well.
Oh yeah, it's usually if Heather's fishing with me, they're heading towards her spot, and they just bypass me. But no, it's crazy. They have a cryptic cruising lane. Is the only way we could talk about it. Is they have an area that they're going to. But remember, fish just swim to humps, bars, their favorite weed bed. They just know where they're at. So what's better? Instinct or knowledge, because they just know where to go. They don't have to think about it. Their brain is tiny, and instinct. They just they'll suspend. They go from hump top to hump top on Winnie or on Walker Bay. They just go from top to top, and they know where it's at. It's crazy.
Hey, bro, I instinctively know to swim to the bar and then to the bed too.
Gee. Hey, before we lose you or kick you off,
Whatever.
I wanted to talk a little bit about house choice, your shelter choice, and how it influences, whether, when you're finding fish. So I was explaining to Bro earlier that we've got the car shelter, we've got the no shelter, but we've got the flip over style, we've got the hub style, and then you've got the permanent or more of the wheel style. But the type of house you have does influence your ability to find fish.
That's right. And really for me, it comes down to who I have with me. If it's going to be just me, I've got 3 Frabill shelters, 2 new ones, the Ice Hunters and the 200 and the 285. Yeah. And I also have one of their double hubs. I loaned those long-term loan to my buddies and I just got them back. But if I'm taking my whole family and my dog, who does not like the ice, we will set up that double hub. And it's got the Fishaflage on it, I think, if I remember correctly. And, we can set up a sunflower heater in there and kind of make that our central station. And then I'll move out with those smaller houses if I need to do a little running and gunning. But I'll tell you what I'm really impressed with. I had the Frabill Predator, I believe, before we moved to Alabama. And now I've got the 285 and the 200. Yeah. The big one's great, especially if I'm in there with another grown man like myself. But the 200 is actually quite a bit smaller, but once you're in there and set up, it doesn't feel like it. And both have the thermal skin, so they're very warm. We're turning the heater off and it was, 15 degrees. So I'm a big believer in multiple styles, the individual flip overs. My son uses one of those when he's out trying to do his own thing, but really it comes down to who's fishing with me, how long we're going to be out there, and the temperatures. But I got to say, those new Ice Hunters are hot. They look good and they stay warm.
Yeah, they're awesome. In fact, I was talking to Bro a little bit. I rarely use a heater in an insulated fish house because I don't like getting so comfortable that it prevents me from moving when I should be moving. And and frankly, they're warm enough without them. Typically, if you have 2 people in there anyway. If it gets real cold, like in Bro country, it's 20 below, it's nice to keep the holes from freezing and things like that. But
Steve, when you and I get together, we talk so much, it just gets so warm.
a lot of hot air.
There it is.
Well, what do you got going within fish? Anything new? I know. Explain your job to everybody so they really kind of understand what it is.
Well, I manage just about all things digital. I do help Rob and Doug Stange, Rob Newman and Doug Stange a little bit in arranging like sidebars for the web. That may, if you're reading an article in the magazine, they may suggest go to the web. So I'm curating content, I'm publishing content, I manage the social media, and I also I'm trying to get out and create some unique content. And there's something we've been doing on YouTube that's been a lot of fun. I've been calling it In Fisherman's Lake X Factor. I just go to a lake, doesn't matter north, south, east, or west, and try to catch some fish, try to film it, and then produce some type of show. So ultimately, it just comes down to creating content. We're feeding that animal, and it's growing, actually, believe it or not, tremendously in the last few months. I've seen a lot of positive results and people getting involved and participating. And so anybody that follows In Fisherman, thank you for being a part of it, engaging in the discussions. That's why we do it. And we're going to keep it going. But I'm glad to have been here tonight. I'm not what I would consider an ice expert. I'm just a fanatic. So,
I've seen you on the ice. When you came up with the office crew from North American Fish, and then Kurt Beckstrom, and we get together, and you had some really you really did well for them big slab crappies, and then
I had a pretty good guide that day, if I remember right, though.
Yeah, he was handsome, wasn't he?
He was big, real handsome.
Thomas, thanks for coming on tonight. Happy birthday, belated, and. There's several people here that want to know where you can get that bourbon you're talking about. So go through the comments.
I'll get back.
I only got out of all this.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can talk about that here, but it's good.
Honey bourbon, or what was it?
Maple bourbon. We had some in deer camp this year.
Yes, you brought some down to deer camp, so I know you know where to find it.
That's right. Ping me and I'll let you know. Thanks, guys.
Thomas, thanks so much for coming on. Fun guy, huh?
Oh, he's great.
Hey, bro, I know Heather's going to go crazy here in just a second. Our next guest plays center for the Minnesota Vikings after 3 years of playing with the New York Giants. He's also a very avid ice fisherman, and I look forward to talking to him. We both like to bring in Brett Jones with the Minnesota Vikings, number 61 right here in this photo. Hey, Brett, how are you?
Skull!
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Skull.
Okay, hang on a sec. I just lost you in my ear, so just give me a second.
You want to unplug? Kai, is he, he's on, let's see here. Unmute. Not sure what's going on there.
Looks like it's muted.
I think he.
Can you hear
There
me?
you go.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I
You're up?
can't seem to hear you guys though. So.
Were you able to follow the show as we were going forward? Kai, is there an issue on the
There, hello?
mic?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I can't.
It's on Brett.
We can hear you.
Hey,
There,
Kai.
I can hear you now. Got it.
Awesome.
Sorry about that.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing? All right. Yeah, I'm just stuck in. I just came back from the season or whatever. I'm back in Canada now, so I'm on a 14-day quarantine. So I got some good amount of time here. So I didn't figure that out soon enough. But
Does that mean you got to stay in the house, or does that mean you can go ice fishing?
no, you're locked in. The RCMP will come out and check on you to see if you're out there or whatever. But the ice is right outside my window here. If I look over, I can see the ice. So today, it's not a bad day to miss out today. We got 60-mile-an-hour winds. So
Oh, wow.
hoping we don't see any curling rocks that are actually ice fishing shacks going down the lake. So
Brett, that storm that's there is going to be coming through Minnesota tomorrow. And,
it's awesome.
Yeah. So, hey, I need to introduce Heather Brosdahl. She's like the world's most fanatic Viking fan. That's here with Joel right now. So she's thrilled to have you on, as we are. But thank you for taking the time tonight. So, Heather, have you got anything you want to say?
Mr. Jones is Kirk Cousins. Yeah, Kirk Cousins' hands really that warm?
I don't know. That's a tough question. Good question.
Steve, let me ask you that question. Sorry.
No warmer than anyone else, I suspect.
You're not getting all warm as hands are.
Well, my husband is ice fishing. I'm home rooting you guys on.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Every weekend, every Sunday. And
Oh, I know it.
All right.
Bro, you've made more friends tonight. I think it's awesome. So, Brett, you grew up in rural Canada, rural Saskatchewan. I mean, do you ever just sit back and go, man, I'm in the NFL?
Yeah, definitely. Every Sunday when you get to take those trips to the stadium, whether it's at the coolest stadium, I think, in the NFL at US Bank, you just sort of take a step back and like, wow, like here I am, and I get this great opportunity out in front of me. And it's just so exciting, you know. Every week is such a challenge, but yeah, I just love every day, and just don't take them for granted.
So you had a real unique path to the NFL. Can you kind of take our listeners through, you know, maybe going from college or high school, even from your small town, and how you ended up with the Giants?
Yeah, for sure. So, but one thing before I start, I was going to say this when I first came on, but I probably got more texts. So I started 2 games this year. And I hadn't played in a couple years, but I started 2 games. I probably got more texts coming onto this show telling me what I should say and what I should do. They said, don't make it look stupid, because I'm not the most advanced fisherman, but my brother is very good, and so are his buddies that always come with us every week. So I got to make sure I don't mess it up for them. But no, so I grew up in a little town, about 10,000 people. It's only about 700 miles to Minneapolis from where I live. So I'm really, like, growing up, like, we used to take trips down to Minot, North Dakota. So I grew up going to Shields. Like, I loved all that stuff. So it was really great. And so the football in Canada is a little different. We're not necessarily going to get the same talent that you would at, say, in some of those bigger states like Florida and California and that stuff. So obviously the talent level was a little different. But then I went to the University of Regina, which is a small school. And one of the big things that happened for me is one of the star defensive players for the Chicago Bears, Akeem Hicks, actually went to our school. So
I didn't know that.
The Bears.
Yeah, so don't want to pump the Bears, but that was one of my teammates. When I was there, and so it was really great for both of us, to get to practice against each other, and having those one-on-one reps and things like that. That's where I really got to improve. And then he actually got drafted in the NFL to play for the New Orleans Saints originally, and so at that time, like, hey, maybe I could get a chance to do this, but I had to prove myself in the CFL first, which is the Canadian Football League. And after 2 seasons, I was able to go try out for a couple teams, and I was signed by the New York Giants. And so
you were offensive lineman of the year, weren't you?
Yeah, it was actually. So in the CFL, I was actually the lineman of the year in my second year, and we won the Grey Cup that year. So I did some pretty cool stuff when I was in the CFL. But the CFL and the NFL, it's a pretty big jump. And one of the things that is in the CFL is we do have really good players. It's just whether or not maybe some of the guys got a chance or things like that, or maybe just things didn't go their way. A lot of them were NFL players at one time. So it's a very good league, and there's always good players coming out of it. But so that was my path to the NFL.
So what was it like going from your hometown to New York? I mean, what was it like to be in that massive city? I mean, it had to be culture shock, wasn't it? Oh,
definitely. So in my town of 10,000 people, we have one road that has 2 lanes, and we would do that on the driver's ed test. And it was right by the courthouse. That was the only lane you had to do that to shoulder check to make sure. That was always a trip up on the test. But so when I got to New York, like for the first 6 months, like I didn't drive. So the off-season training activity was it starts in April, and so for those first few months, I wouldn't even think about driving on those roads. And that's one of the things that probably lots of the guys from Minnesota can relate to, just the sheer shock of just seeing what an immense city that is, and just the sheer number of people every day. And definitely not anything I'd ever experienced in my life. So I wouldn't have traded it for the world. It's one of the coolest cities once you live there and you're around it a lot. And that's one of the things you miss is the skyline, because at the practice field, it actually faces Manhattan. So you can see like the World Trade Center, the One World Trade Center, and you can see, Empire State Building. So that was one of the cool things about practice there.
That's cool. So now that you're home, what are some of the lakes that you like to fish around home, and what species do you like to target?
Yeah, so we're actually on a pretty cool lake chain. So my family growing up, grew up on it's called Echo Lake. It's in the Capel River chain. So it's fed by Lake Diefenbaker. So it's got a pretty big feed channel coming in. We got some good cold water. Usually what we like to do in the winter, we like to fish for walleye. And we do a lot of pike fishing. So we got some pretty good sized pike. And then also there's perch and whatnot. And then in the summer, it's an invasive species. We got carp now. So we have the common carp. So they were released.
We have a picture with you. With that. We were wondering if that was a Canadian crappie.
Is that a crappie?
No, that's a common carp. So they were introduced. You guys
that's Canadian crappie.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So,
so I know you like fishing pike through the ice. I mean, you got some good waters around home, and do you have some big fish available?
Yeah, definitely. So, I'm usually, when I was trying to get the photos for you guys, I'm usually the camera guy, I guess, because all the photos are with my buddies. But so we got some good waters. We've liked to fish one of the spots that's near the hatchery. And so one of the guys I fish with actually works at the hatchery, and so they actually release a lot of trout into the waters in Saskatchewan. That's how we have them. So so they're lots of these lakes are fed, and the brood stock sometimes they come out accidentally or on purpose, but the pike will come in. They're always feeding around there. So we had really good success last year, and we caught that wasn't the biggest one, but one of our biggest one was a 44-inch pike we'd caught over there. So. Pretty good sized pike, and that was a really fun year last year doing like the whole COVID thing or whatever. We come out every week. We were coming out pretty much every day up until the end of the season, so it was a ton of fun.
So one of the listeners asked, "What's the biggest walleye that you've ever caught?"
I haven't caught a lot of big walleye. I don't know. My sister actually caught a pretty decent sized one, but I don't know. I haven't really caught a very big one. So I don't know, probably like.
No, because you got to come with Steve and Bro, and then go fishing for walleye, and you'll get your bigger fish in Minnesota.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just definitely. My brother gets on them, but I haven't gone out enough, and especially like we do a lot of our walleye fishing in the summer and whatnot, and
Sure.
he usually has better luck, and I'm usually in camp at that time, so I miss out on a lot of the good seasons.
So when you're pike fishing, or how are you targeting the fish, and what are you using for bait and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we use we dead bait. So we use a quick strike rig, and we use it on our tip ups that we use. So we just set it down there about a foot off the bottom, and just let them go to work. So we usually use just different bait fish that we have from the area, and yeah, we've had really good results from that.
I mean, on an average day on the lakes that you're fishing, are you catching how many fish? How big are they running?
Yeah, so when we were doing it last year, we were catching like 30-inch and up for those pike, and probably we did about six in a day, and we're out there probably 6 hours, so 1 an hour. It would come and go. There'd be spot times where you hit really good, and then you'd be going back to the car and hanging out for a bit, and then come back out on the ice.
So what's your favorite fish story through the ice?
Well, we actually have a pretty interesting story that happened last year. So we're allowed two lines per person in Saskatchewan, so you can have 2 of the tip-ups going. So there's probably 4 of us out there, and we'd actually caught one, and another one had caught at the same time on our tip-up, and so we went to go reel the one in, and by the time we got back to the other, it actually had pulled the tip-up in. So we're like, oh no, like where did this thing go?
Did it right off the surface? I mean, it took it through the hole?
Yeah. It's pretty, I don't know how it happened, but so that was that day, and of course we're coming out every day, and so we went back out there the next day, and we set the tip-ups in lots of the same holes, and we got a bite on one, and the fish, when we finally got up to it, had the hook in it from that one that it had taken, so it must have just been swimming in circles around there, and it hooked itself back on again, so we actually got the hook out, and it was good to go, but...
Did you get your tip-up back?
It was stuck. It was pretty stuck.
So one of our viewers Jameson just recommended that you try hot dogs. I actually, as a dead bait, and I've heard that. Bro, have you ever done that with the hot dogs?
No, the bait shops never run out of minnows around here, so I don't have to use hot dogs. I like to use sucker minnows or big dead bait like Cisco's.
Yeah,
we got Cisco. That's what we're using. So
yeah. Neil's asking, do you have eel pout in your area, or burbot?
Yeah, we do actually. Yeah, so that's actually becoming really popular in our area. So one of the guys I fish with, he goes and tries to catch them all the time. And supposedly on this lake, there's a good spot for them. So I think I'm going to go out and try it once this quarantine's done.
Bro, you have any tips for him on catching them?
No, just you know what to do. Just get some Frable tip-ups, throw some dead bait down, and you'll be set. I'm sure we could arrange that.
Yeah, that sounds good. We can do that. So I hear that Eden's good on them. I've never had them, though. Is that true?
Oh.
They're bro, you eat them a lot, but they call them poor man's lobster. Instead of frying them, you boil them and eat them with butter. So, they actually are pretty good.
You boil them like lobster and dip them in butter, and everything tastes good in butter, right?
Yeah. I think we both know that. So,
well, and for that comment there about the hot dogs, when I did try to bring hot dogs, I ate them before I could use them.
Yeah, that's all.
We got a comment right here. No hot dogs never make it to the hole.
No.
So, what does your off season look like in terms of just how do you stay in shape for throughout the entire season, and how long does it take you to really recover from a game? I mean, that's just the getting beat up out there. How is it?
Yeah, definitely. So the game to game, week to week, that's a big grind. And those guys that start all 16 games and do all that stuff, a lot of respect to those men. That it's a challenge each and every week. You have to, number one, you're playing the best in the world across from you each and every week. These are some of the best athletes, and especially on the defensive line. For offensive line, we're playing with athletes that are much better than athletes than us. Maybe not better football players, obviously, but they're such good athletes, and the physicality that's at the point of attack each and every play is really big. So I think that, coming out a game on Monday you're going to feel pretty poorly, and usually on Monday we'll get a lift in to try to get you moving and get all that stuff going. And then Tuesday is typically when you really start to feel sore, and then hopefully by Wednesday we'll have practice again. Usually that's a big day for us with the Vikings. We have a bigger practice on Wednesday, and hopefully you're feeling better by then, and you'll went out and get sort of treatment, whether that's acupuncture or massage or anything like that. That you got to be able to take care of your body, because your body is your business, and it's the most important thing. So by Friday, usually you're feeling pretty good, and then Saturday when you either fly to the game or head over to the hotel at night, that's when you're like, all right, I'm ready to go out back again for the game on Sunday. So, and those shorter weeks are always tough too. So, but that's during the season, and then out of the season, they like to take a couple weeks off. I'm not a big believer in not taking too much time off. I like to work out. It's a fun hobby for me. It's always been something I'm good at. I'm a shorter guy, sort of stockier, so I like to bench press. I like to squat and do all that stuff. So it's fun for me. And so I take a couple weeks off, but then I get back into it, usually doing a couple weeks of whether it's just doing higher reps, just getting the volume back to make sure your joints and stuff are good, and then I'll get into a strength phase. And I usually don't have to do much volume because I'm already pretty big, as like just being, if you see my body type, I'm sort of shorter, stockier, so I don't have to put much volume on. I'm always trying to lean out, so I don't do that so much. But yeah, those are sort of the phases or whatever in an off season. And typically they're only 12 weeks long, but with COVID, you just never know. So we could be back for OTAs in Minneapolis in April, or we could have to come back at camp in July. We're just not sure yet. So
what's your most memorable game that you've had?
So I've had some pretty cool games I've been a part of. So one of the coolest was a few years ago when it was my first game. This was the first game I ever dressed in the NFL. So it was a it was a Sunday night game, and it was the New York Giants versus the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas at the new AT&T Stadium. Yeah. And so this was probably in 2016 or 17, and they were doing it was actually on September 11th the game was played, and so George Bush was there. And they had a flag that was the size of the entire field, and I'm like, holy, like just the spectacle that was put on, and like the feelings that you had in there. They honored a lot of veterans and like firefighters and police officers and stuff, and I thought that was like, wow, like not only was the game cool because it was my first action to get to be in a game or whatever, but that I thought was just like so cool.
Wow, cool.
And then another game that was really neat. It was one of the first games at US Bank Stadium. And so we were playing the Vikings on a Monday night as the Giants. And I thought that some of the other stadiums were loud. Like you play in Dallas, you think it's loud. You play in Seattle, you think it's loud. And like the fans, when they did that Skol chant, like you couldn't hear anything on the field. Like we had problems all game, and you guys were just killing us in the stands.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was Heather.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and if you're going to ask me a question like that right off the hop with the hands thing, I can only imagine what you do to an opposing player if you're out there talking trash to them. So,
Hey, Brett, we appreciate you coming on board tonight. We're running out of time, but please look us up when you're back in town. I know Bro and Heather would love to get out and fish with you. I would as well. And just thank you for the time tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is a great opportunity, a really fun hobby I have, and I learned a lot just listening. That's why I tuned in early. I just wanted to see what you guys are talking about.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
You have a great fishing season now. Be safe.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, the real season's beginning now. So
yeah, it is.
Enjoy your break.
Again.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right. Have a great night.
Good night. Thank you.
Awesome.
That was fun. I enjoyed catching up with him and his passion for fishing, and just kind of that back behind the scenes view on the NFL is pretty cool. Hey, we're running out of time, dude. We got to pick a winner for tonight for the Frabill prize pack. So we're gonna take a quick break and get that picked out. So Kai, give Bro and I a heads up on some of the more active guys tonight and gals on there. And hey, I just want to say thanks to everybody that has tuned in. We're on episode 14 right now, and just look at Bro's face. I mean, he's having fun. I'm having fun, and I know a lot of everybody that's tuning in is having fun, and I hope you're learning some things. So we really appreciate it. But give us a couple minutes. We'll be right back with a winner for tonight's Frabill prize pack, and then we'll give you kind of heads up what's happening next week. We'll be right back.
All right.
Bro, we've got a winner tonight, and hey, we had some great, huge number of comments again tonight, and great audience. But who we picking tonight?
Neil Rippey, you are the winner tonight. Congratulations.
Neil, thanks for your many comments tonight, and thanks to everybody that tuned in tonight. We'll be back a week from tonight, next Wednesday, for episode 15 of College of Ice, and looking forward to that as well. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thanks to all our guests, Thomas Allen and Brad Novak, and obviously Brett Jones with the Minnesota Vikings.
Get your buckshots.
Okay, bro. Bro, you have a wonderful night as well.
Yeah, you too, everybody. Be safe on the ice.
Thanks, all.
Thanks for watching this week's College of Ice. Stay tuned for all new episodes coming up.